Hey everyone, welcome to our small footprint. My name's Nyssa. If you're new here, we are a large family living off-grid in Australia. It is Monday, and this is going to be my weekly squirrel. I used to call them Sunday squirrels because I mostly did them on Sundays, but I have found that Sundays haven't been the day that I've been doing them lately. I have been doing a Monday, Tuesday-ish because it just happens to fall that way. Darryl normally has D&D games that he plays on Monday, so I sort of leave him alone for that. It was cancelled today because it's still Easter Sunday in the US. Then people aren't available. But he does go to church on Sundays, which sometimes means I come out and do things, but it's only for a couple of hours, and it just depends. And I actually had a nap yesterday afternoon because I was a bit worn out, so I didn't get as much done yesterday as I had planned. And being a long weekend, there's a lot of things that I want to get sorted that I still can't because everything's still closed today. We are still chasing up the concrete footings for Mum's building. I've found the place that sells them, and I've got a quote on the blocks, but what I need them to do is actually deliver them and place them where we need them because they're 600 odd kilos each and we have no machinery at all. So we need them to bring them out, put them exactly where they need to go, and then the building will be craned in. And I just am having trouble nailing them down to a quote and a timeline. And a lot of that happens because they don't really want the job. It's a fiddly, time-consuming job where they prefer not to do it, but no one wants to come out here and do any of that sort of stuff. So I'm still trying to nail that down. Once we've got that sorted, then everything else can move pretty quickly, but we need to get that sorted. So I've been chasing that up. We're also going to need to find some solar panels. We generally buy them secondhand, but preferably with rails. So someone selling a bunch of at least sort of 18 would be good. Solar panels all in the same style and with some rails would be good. So we're still chasing that up for her too. We did get the battery that we ordered for her though. I will talk more on that later, but we got offered a battery for free to do a video on it. And when I looked at all the specs and everything else, and then Mum decided to move out here, I asked if I could also purchase one so that we can use the one that was gifted on our house, which has made a massive difference. And then we purchased one so that we can use that on Mum's place, which will give her everything that she needs. So we got those delivered the other day and have installed the one that is on our house already, which I'll show you. I'm not going to go too much in depth into it because it was we put it into a system that was already there and everything. But when we do Mum's place, we'll go through the whole process from getting the panels up and all the rest of it. So I'll show it to you though, and I'll give you some information about it and some links and stuff because it's pretty awesome. Probably here in the background the washing machine is spinning. But I have other things to cover, but for today I also, as usual, I have stuff to get done as well while I'm spending the day doing things. I am going to do pizza for dinner tonight. We actually, the Thermomix shop, the mix shop had a 25% off sale, and I also get a discount because I'm a consultant on the shop as well. And I've been eyeing off their pizza ovens for ages because we have one that we bought from Kegland, which we really like, but the one from Thermomix is supposed to be really amazing, and it actually has a stand that it can sit on. So we thought that would work really well with the new layout of the kitchen. We still use the Kegland one as well because we use two at a time, but the Ovana one from Thermomix has rave reviews and has this stand, so we bought that. So Darryl's putting that together for me now, and we're going to do pizza for dinner tonight. So I need to do the pizza dough, but there's a few other things that I want to get done that we'll use with pizza, but also other things because I'm going to go away this week. I'm probably going to leave Thursday. Darryl has an appointment on Wednesday, so I'll probably leave Thursday, and I probably won't come back to Sunday, Monday, because we're going to try and get the back room, Mum's place, cleaned out. So there's a few things that I want to get, just set up to make things easier for him and the kids while I'm gone. One of those things, I have this bowl of onions left. I bought a box of just seconds onions when I did the shop, and this is what's left. I'm going to slice all these up and get these caramelised. So it'll take most of the day to caramelise them, but then I will have caramelised onions to use. It doesn't work out very much in the end, is why it's such a big job. Like this amount of onions is not going to be a whole lot of caramelised onions, but it'll be good for on the pizza as well. I also have a bag of the cooking bacon that I pulled out of the freezer and is now defrosted, and I'm going to dice that up and cook that off as well. So we've got cooked bacon, we'll have the caramelised onion, we'll use that on pizzas, but we'll also use that on other stuff. Then I need to do the pizza dough. and I'll see what else I'm going to do. So onions will probably take the longest, so that's what I will get started on. And I'm not going to be particularly, I could just dice them up in the Thermomix. Honestly, I could just do a dice and then cook it, but it's never quite as nice as when they're in little strips. And I don't have a mandolin. It's not something that I own, and normally I just slice them. I can use the cutter, I suppose, on the Thermomix. Actually, if I'm doing this many, maybe I should pull that out. I don't pull it out very often just because it's effort. When I've got pretty good knife skills, so I just don't need to go to that effort. But for this quantity and being onions, rather than standing here and crying the whole time, I may as well use it. So what I'll do is I'll peel all these onions, and then I'll bring you back when I get the cutter out. Right, so I'm going to use the Thermomix to cut it up. So this is the Thermomix cutter. I only have the one for the 6. There is one for the 7 now, but I don't own it. So we put the shaft in on the blunt side of the blades. And then we put the bowl in. There's 2 sides for the cutter. There is a grate and a slice. So the slicing is side 1 and the grating is side 2, and then there's a thick and a thin, and you go reverse or forward to get the thick or the thin. So we're going to go slicing, not grating. I've cut them into halves because we need to fit them down the chute. And I am just going to compost the onion skins. I know a lot of people use them for stock and things like that. I don't like the earthy, dirty taste to them, so that's just personal preference. All right, so we've got a slicing, and then it now has a thin or a thick. You used to have to put it on reverse or forward to get it to work. It now has it built into the software. So we just put the onion in and we turn it on and gently press. Alright, our basket is full after that amount of time, and we have sliced onions, so I'm going to put this straight into my Dutch oven. Now, some of the pieces are a lot larger than others, and part of that's because of the direction that you put the onion in. Like, ideally we want it to slice like this, so it's slicing like that, but sometimes it ends up on its side and things like that. But I'm not overly concerned, just a variation in slices. I'll show it to you once we've finished it. I've finished them all and got them all in the pot. So we ended up with 3.5 jugs full of onion, which obviously is a bit more than my pot is going to take, but this reduces pretty quickly. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take some out, put it in the bowl, and as this reduces, I'm going to add more to it because it reduces pretty quickly, and it will end up being only like half this pot of onion in the end. So we're just going to do that. I'm going to put a drizzle of olive oil in it just so that it coats the bottom and the onion starts reducing before it burns. And then we're just going to watch it and keep going with it. All right, so it turns out that we can't do pizza tonight because there is 2 types of swap and go barbecue gas bottles that we use. There is a newer thread and an older thread. Most of our appliances can use either. The newer pizza ovens can only use the newer thread, and we do not have any full ones with that newer thread. So Darryl's going to have to do swap and go them, but I don't want to drive all the way somewhere to swap and go gas bottles when there's nothing else that needs doing, not with the cost of fuel and everything else at the moment. So he's got to go into town tomorrow, so he will grab them tomorrow and we'll do pizza tomorrow. So in the meantime, I'm going to do a quick ciabatta style bread. I've really missed chewy style sourdoughy type breads. I'm not getting back into sourdough at the moment because I don't have the time or the brain power. But I can make some similar sort of chewy breads, artisan style breads, and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to make a ciabatta style, a bit like the Emily Raffer's sourdough baguette type things. They're a sort of a flat, chewy sort of a bread. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to mix that up, And I'm not even going to use the KitchenAid. I'm going to do it all by hand and just get it pulled together. All right. So all we do is we want some warm water. I do need to warm some water up because we want this to go same day. We want to use warm water, get it going nice and quickly. So we're going to use some oil. Do 450 grams of water and 50 grams of oil. We're going to use about 15 grams of yeast, about 2 teaspoons of yeast, and then we're going to add some salt. 15 odd grams of salt as well, and then flour, 500 grams. We will introduce a little bit more flour in the shaping of things, so that's fine. So then we're just going to bring it together. I'm going to bring it together a little bit first using this little scrapery thing. I do need to buy myself another new dough whisk. I had one but it broke and I haven't replaced it because I haven't been making sourdough, so I've been doing most of my doughs in the KitchenAid and it just isn't needed. But to get that first mix in to make less mess, it's always easier to use something, but this works quite well. So all I'm going to do is scrape this down try and make sure all the flour is broken up, and then I'm just going to cover this for 15 minutes to let it hydrate, and I'll come back and I'll do coil folds, and I'll do them a few times because this is just that's the kind of dough it is. We're going to use coil folds to create some tension, and then we're just going to lay it out and cut it into chunks. So while I'm still out here doing stuff, easy enough to do. I badly need to get my dough covers sewn. My sewing machine needs a service, and Mitre 10 in town does sewing machine servicing, and Darryl keeps on meaning to take it and forgetting, so I need to get him to do that. So now let's go back to, let's slice up the bacon and get that in the other pan. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to dice this up and fry it off as well, so that I've got cooked bacon to use for whatever it is that I want to use it for. Now, I will take the rind off and I'll cook that off in the pan first, and that can be a snack for a start, but it also will let some fat into the pan. So I'll do that, and then yeah, I'll just dice up the rest into little like strips. Like this sort of thing, thin strips, so that it can be used to top things, it can be used in things, it can be whatever I want, little strips like that. That's the plan. So I'm just going to do this full kilo. I probably should have defrosted a couple of kilos to be used, cooked and used before I buy more, but I didn't really think about it, so I might check. I think I still got 3 or 4 kilos in the fridge from previous shops. I might look at pulling it out, dicing it up and cooking it, not today, so that it's sitting in the freezer cooked for easy sprinkles on pizzas or on cheese and bacon scroll type things or anything like that, and then buy some more to be in the freezer for raw, for use for other things. I'd like to get some more of that traditional bacon if I can get my hands on it, because it was only $5 a kilo and it worked perfectly in those chicken nuggets. So if I can get that again, I'm going to try that. That's the other thing I need to get done today, tomorrow, is the inventory. So I might do that as a different video this month, because sometimes I combine it with this squirreling video. But the thing is that there's a lot of things to think about this month, with the change in shopping process, the fuel prices, and just the unknowns. Because we only shop every 6 weeks, I think that really makes a big difference in being aware of how like a lot of things can change in 6 weeks. So anyway, I'm going to finish getting this all cooked up, keep going with the onion. I'll bring you back each time I stretch and fold the dough. I coil fold the dough. I still need to have a chat to you about the solar and stuff, but we're just going to get stuff done as well. I was going to make something. I didn't end up making anything chocolatey for Easter yesterday, and I pulled out the kataifi, however it's pronounced, pastry to do some Dubai chocolate. So I have that here to do. We'll see if I get to that. But I also thought maybe one of our choc orange cakes. I still have plenty of oranges on the shelf, plenty of pureed cooked oranges on the shelf, which I use to make the choc orange cake. I did think about that the other day too. I could probably make that chocolate orange brioche buns that were my hot cross buns, but I could make them for, you know, other occasions using my canned orange. I reckon that would work because it's whole oranges, skin on and everything, pureed, boiled, and then pureed and then canned. I have a video for it. If I remember, I'll put the link up of the video where I did it. I got oranges really cheap one year and did a whole lot, and I don't use it as much as I would have liked. So there is a lot sitting on the shelf still. So if I could find other usages for it, then that would be great. I need to try using it like an orange poppy seed muffin or something too, maybe. That would be a good one to do, because oranges are good for you. Even if they're boiled and canned, there's still going to be the health benefits in that as well. But I really like the flavour of orange. It's really good in winter because it's so fresh. I want to say it's summery, except it's not a summer fruit. Isn't that a weird thing? You sit there and go, oranges are so summery. Well, that's what I was thinking, except that oranges aren't a summer fruit. They're a cold weather fruit. It's an odd one, isn't it? Anyway, squirreling. I'm going to get this all cooked up. I'll bring you back. All right, so the dough has just sat for 10 or 15 minutes. We've added a bit more onion to the onion mix as well, and the first thing we're going to do is just a bit of a stretch and fold to bring this to the middle. Scrape down any of the dough and bring it all into the center, because it's a sticky dough, this one. It's meant to be sticky. All right, and then we oil our hands well, and we coil fold as well as we can to begin with. Getting all that dough included in there. And then we will just leave it for another half an hour now. And it will be a lot easier to coil fold again then, but now at least all the flour and everything's incorporated. All right, we've got all the onion in the pot, so now we're just going to turn the heat down about to medium, and I'm just going to watch it and keep stirring it as it reduces. I might add a touch of brown sugar and balsamic vinegar at one point, just because I like the flavours that adds to the caramelised onion, but we're just, for the moment, we're just going to cook it off. The bacon is done. So we've got all these lovely crispy bacon bits. Oh, just dropped one in the onions. So I've turned that off to just cool a little bit. Oh no, I'll have to eat those bits. And the dough is resting for half an hour. So I'm just gonna let everything do its thing for the moment. All right, so the onions are still simmering. It's been about half an hour, so soon I'll do some add-ins to the onions. I've got some bone-in chicken thighs that need using, so I'm gonna cut them off and fry them up. They can be used for pizza topping tomorrow or on the bread that I'm gonna make. So as you can see, it has puffed up nicely. So what we're going to do is we're going to gently coil fold. It's a very sticky dough. That's on purpose because we want it really light, airy and chewy. So that's the next. Stretch and fold. And you can see it's already got a lot better tension on it. Alright, so we're just going to put that back for another half an hour to an hour. I'll see how I go. Could probably do one more in a half hour and then leave it for an hour, but it's quite warm and it's proofing quite well. So we'll get the chicken done and then I'll see how long it takes. We get the last of this raw meat done before moving on to anything else. So these are the bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs. These worked out to be about $2 a kilo, $2.50 a kilo, which is a great price. But they do take up a lot of room in the freezer. So if I go back to the chicken place this trip, I don't think I would buy them again. As much as I really love them, because of the way that we like to eat them, which is basically deboned and fried off, they're a fair bit of work to prep with both bones in them. And all these lovely spine bones and everything are great for stock. I roast them off and use them for some wonderful stock, which is the reason that I do like to buy some bone-in chicken. But they do take up a lot of room in the freezer, and we're trying to go bang for buck here. So I will probably end up buying a whole lot more of the trim that I've been using for absolutely everything, and boneless stuff, which is more expensive but compacts a little bit better for storage purposes. Just for this trip until I figure out, we'll see what happens in the next 6 weeks and reassess. But for the moment, I've even contemplated getting another, now that we've got the solar somewhat sorted, another freezer. Seems like overkill though, but with Mum moving out here and stuff, the shopping trips just may end up being a bit further, and the cost of fuel potential and stuff like that, it may mean that the shopping trips just get a little bit further apart and have to be a little bit bigger. Back to I know I only just pulled back from the 12 weekly shops to try and make things easier on myself, and maybe we'll have to go back to that. We'll see. But for the moment, we just have to take it as it comes and figure it out together. All right, so I'm just going to debone all these and get them salted and in the pan. All right, so all the chicken's been done. I've got this big bag full of all the framework, which I will roast up and turn into a delicious stock, and we have more of that in the freezer. So again, I don't really need any more bone-in chicken for stock purposes, so I probably won't buy bone-in chicken this trip, just because of the amount of room it takes up. I've got this container here that had the raw onion in it that I'm going to put the chicken into when it's cooked, and get this on the frying pan, and then I'm going to clean and sanitize my bench. Right, so this is the onions. This is all the onions, and they have been cooking for about an hour. So there was about 4 kilos of 3.5 to 4 kilos of onion. I didn't actually weigh it. I'm basing it on the netted bags that I used, sort of thing. So we're going to turn it into onion jam so that I can just water bath can it. So for about 4 kilos, so we're rounding up to about 4 kilos. I don't think it was quite 4 kilos. We're rounding up. We want 3 cups of, you normally use balsamic vinegar. I had about 2 cups worth of balsamic vinegar, and that's all that's left. And then split it with malt vinegar for this one. So it'll be a slightly different flavor. But I really like the flavour of malt vinegar, so that's what we're doing. So we want 3 cups of that, and then we want 3 cups of brown sugar, which is how we get it to the point that it's water bath cannable. The pH from the vinegar and jammy texture from the sugar. So 3 cups of sugar, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of molasses because That's what browns the sugar. We're going to add a little bit of cracked pepper if I've got some. Doesn't look like I've got any cracked at the moment. I'll just have to crack some. I might just add a little bit of white pepper. Not quite the same, but it'll do. And some salt. And then we're going to simmer this until it's all jammy. Basically, until it gets sort of syrupy and thick and jammy, so that it can be used as a spread. Now, this is delicious on pizza. I love it on I put pizza sauce down and then I put some of this over with the pizza sauce. But I also really like it on bagels. I haven't made bagels in a while. I might have to do that. English muffins, hamburgers. Oh, so good with a hamburger. Mayo, this, and then, you know, like your cheeseburger-esque type thing. So now we're just going to simmer this until it thickens and jamifies, and then I'll taste it. I do have some pH strips here somewhere, so I can double check the pH, but I'm pretty confident about my ratio, so I'm not overly concerned. But yeah, we're just going to let this simmer down now, and then I will have to put it in jars. Now, I think this pot is about a 6-litre pot, so it's going to fill quite a few small jars, but we will. And it wasn't the plan starting out today, but I changed my mind halfway through. All the chicken's done at least. I'm going to pour this chicken schmaltz and fat off into a jar and stick it in the freezer, and I'll use that in the chicken stock because that will add flavour to the chicken stock, because I don't really have anything I want to cook off in it at the moment. Or it can be used to cook stuff off in. I suppose I could put it in little ice cubes, because broccoli and stuff cooked off in this is really nice. So I could put it in some little ice cubes so that we can just throw it in the pan to cook veggies off when we've got fresh veggies. But yeah. And hit start on the camera. So generously floured the surface, tipped the dough out onto the surface, and then have just really gently stretched it out into a bit of a square so it's all sort of evenly flat. And then we're going to cut it into 8, I think. That. Like that. We're just going to separate them a little bit of flour on the edges if need be. I'm just trying to separate them a little bit without deflating the dough. Just like that, really nice and gentle. Alright, and now we're going to leave this for about 20 minutes while I preheat the oven. And then we're going to flip it onto a baking tray and we're going to bake them. And they don't take very long. And yeah, that's how easy it is. Alright, battery's low, jam is almost done, ready to be canned up, bread is sorted. So all I'm going to do is very gently pick these up, without deflating, and place them that opposite way on the tray as much as possible. This just gives it a pretty effect with the flour on the bottom of it. It's the way the flour crinkles, which is like a classic ciabatta sort of thing. Completely unnecessary. I could have just cut and shaped this directly on a baking tray. But it is effective once it's cooked. And I'm going to spread them out a bit like that so that I don't have to manhandle them too much, and bake them 4 to a tray. I've got enough room in the oven to do that, so I'm going to grab another tray and do 4 to a tray and just put them in the oven. I think it's about 25 minutes at about 180. So I'll show them to you when they're done. Bread out. I'm going to let it cool for a little bit, and then I'm going to cut one open and have one for lunch. It's almost 2 o'clock, mind you, but I haven't eaten yet. The onion jam is done. I've turned it off, and it's this thick, luscious. It will thicken up even more as it cools, and it's reduced enough that I'm happy with it. The flavour is a little bit more savoury than sweet with that malt vinegar, but I actually quite like that, so that's fine. pH is 3.5, so that's fine for canning as well. So now I just need to wash jars, and then I'll get into jars. What else was I doing? I don't know. All the chicken's in the fridge, the bacon's in the fridge. Sonnet just stole some of the bacon to have with her ramen for lunch, which is fine. I wanted to make that Dubai chocolate and possibly the chocolate orange stuff, but I don't know. It's 2 o'clock. We will see. I'm not sure what I'm doing for dinner either, because we were going to have pizza and now we're not. I did cook up all that chicken, but I did serve them pesto pasta for dinner last night, so I don't really want to do a pasta dish with chicken. I suppose I could do a stir fry, a rice, veggie stir fry, fried rice type-esque thing. I could cook some rice now so that I can chill it and make fried rice with it. That might be a way to go. Since I'm out here doing stuff anyway, I might do some rice now and then I'll spread it out and chill it so that we can make it fried rice later. So yes, I'm going to go and wash some jars. I'm not sure how many jars this is going to use. I've pulled 20 half-pint jars out, and we'll see if that's enough. Alrighty. I think it could have been cooked a touch longer, but that is exactly what I was looking for. Chewy, thin, sandwich type breads. That's going to be my lunch. And the rest of them can cool a bit more, but I think I would have cooked them at a little bit higher temperature to get them a little bit more crispy. They're quite soft, which is not a bad thing either, but I was looking for a nice chewy, crispy texture, so I think I will cook them at a little higher temperature, probably around the 200 mark next time, but happy with that. That's exactly what I was after, so that's really what I felt like today. Alright, so we've got it all in jars. We've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 14, 15 and a bit for the fridge. Kavik's collecting me up some lids, so we need the rings and stuff from I think it's the container that's under there. So I've got a mix of regular mouth ball mason jars as well as some lug lid jars here, all half pint-ish, 250ml, 1 cup-ish type sizes. So the lug lids are a 63ml lid, which is a pretty standard lid for a lot of what you buy in the supermarket, which is why they work well. And I just pulled half pint size jars randomly off the shelf, so I didn't take much notice about which jars were which, and they've all been washed. Darryl came and washed them for me. And so we are going to steam can these. So I'm just getting lids on. Yeah, but we need the regular size ones, the smaller ones. No, I don't need the clips because these ones are the ball mason ones. So these ones have the flat lids and then the rings that go on. So they're not Fowler's jars. And then the rings go on. Yeah, so then we put the rings on these ones just gently. So fingertip tight on the ball mason jars. Fully firm on the lug lid jars. That one's already got one off. So that one. Yeah. That's fine. You just keep it centered.
This lid is totally,
not too tight. Just
totally wrapped.
Yeah. Yep.
No way does it.
Another one. I don't know where the rest of them are. Like there's a hole, not too tight on these ones. But there must be a whole container of these rings somewhere that I used last time. So where did they get put? There's some over here, but they shouldn't be here because they're a bit damaged easily. You found one? Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
Cool. So we're just going to steam can these for 15 minutes, and then they will be ready to go on the cupboard, on the shelves. So we shall get that done. All right, I got 12 jars in the steam canner. I heated up the water so that the steam canner is warm because the jars are warm. We're going to put the lid on it, bring it up to the dark green, 15 minutes. I do have 2.5 jars that don't fit. I was going to put the half jar in the fridge anyway. I'll probably put all 3 in the fridge because realistically, when I use them for pizza tomorrow night and stuff, they'll go pretty quick. So I'm just going to can these 12 to go on the shelf. So that 4 kilos of onions and all that time spent gives me 12 jars of this. We can go through a jar pretty quick. Like when you think about the fact that you put a heaped teaspoon or 2 on a burger bun or on a sandwich or on a wrap or on a pizza or whatever, one of these jars can be consumed in a single meal. But it's still worth doing. And it's nice to add to the base, like if I was making a pasta sauce or something, instead of and I don't have the time to caramelize onions, adding a couple of spoonfuls of this into the sauce gives it all that flavour. So we'll get this canned and then move on to the next thing. All right, rice is on. I'll sort out dinner afterwards. The last thing I'm going to do is throw together the chocolate orange cake as a treat. So I'm going to use sweetener with it, which means that Darryl can have it because it is low carb adjacent. It's got oranges and stuff in it, but it's not too bad. So we're going to start off with 200 grams of almond flour. Now you can use whole almonds and grind them in the Thermomix. It doesn't have quite the same texture. It does end up a little bit more rough, a little bit more bitty, a little bit more textured. And almond flour at Costco is actually the same price as buying almonds by the kilo. So I do buy it from Costco. This has been in the freezer, so it's just a bit chunky. So I want 200 grams of this. I think I actually normally do a double batch per jar. I think I'm going to just bump things up a little bit. Let's go 300 grams of 1.5 of the almond flour, because I'm pretty sure it's like 1.5 worth of, so you only need 2 oranges for each batch, and I'm pretty sure there's 3 in my jars, so we'll work on that. So we'll do 300 grams of almond flour. Then we're going to use this is the monk fruit blend from Naturally Sweet. I did have a discount code for them. I don't know if it's still valid, but buying in these 1.5 kilo bags is definitely a bit more cost effective than buying in the little ones. And we're going to want 375, which is a lot of sweetener because sweetener is expensive, but we'll make this into a bit of a slab cake and Darryl can freeze bits of it for himself. All right, 375 of that. Now we need 75 grams of cocoa. Where's my cocoa? All right, and we want our orange. So about 600, I suppose. It's 500, so it may not have been quite 1.5. Might have been 1.25. we will see how this goes. 9 eggs, some baking powder, and some bicarb. And then we put 9 eggs in here. Lorcan wants to do that. Over here. We got given some eggs that we're using up, but we're also using these egg cartons for storage at the moment too. These are the gifted eggs, which are good for something like this. All right, so the texture looks fine. I'm going to try it in a slab. So we're still going to cook it on fairly low temperature. It'll still probably take 40 odd minutes, and it should be fudgy and similar to a brownie type consistency. Normally I do it in a round tin, but this is 1.5, which is too much for a round tin, but not enough for 2. So, and I've only got one size round tin, so we're just going to do this. It will be well received no matter what, and Darryl can have that too. This too. And maybe I should have, when I think about the price of the sweetener and stuff, done that half batch with the sweetener for Darryl, and then the rest of it just with raw sugar for us. But we make these calls afterwards. So I'm just going to spread this out. I'm going to go out and do the solar thing in the morning because I'm not going to put this out tomorrow morning anyway. This is the fried rice all done. Super simple. Scrambled eggs, bacon, chicken, corn, soy sauce, bit of ramen seasoning. Super simple. And the brownie, choc orange brownie cake. I haven't cut it open. We're going to serve it. I'll take a photo of it when I serve it up. So we've got some whipped cream and stuff there, so we'll serve that up with that. Onion jam's done. Bread for tomorrow. So we're all sorted for today. All right, so as per usual, I got sidetracked. You're going to be able to hear the fan of the inverter here, and people who've been here around for a long time will remember the sound of the fan on the inverter out where I used to do my voiceovers was always quite loud. So I wanted to show off the Humsienk battery that we got. So I got one gifted to me as I got contacted and asked if I wanted one, and I got one gifted to me, and then we asked to purchase a second one. So one of them is going on our house and one of them is going on Mum's new building. When we install Mum's, we're going to show you the whole process. So we actually have to go out there this afternoon and rope off all the footing placements. So I will take my camera out to do that. So that'll be the first step for getting the building delivered. So we're going to rope off all the footing placements. Then tomorrow morning, the guy's going to deliver the footings with a crane. So that will be great. And then we can get the building delivered. So I'm just going to film all the different parts, bits and pieces as we go. But what we're going to do is we're going to install her battery, and I'm going to show you from the way to go. So we're going to put the panels up on a roof. We're going to get it all sorted. But I wanted to show you it in the meantime because we've got it installed here. So this is the Humsienk battery. Now, if you remember down here when I showed you last time, we had 4 200 amp hour of these 12 volt batteries. I don't know why the cat food containers are sitting there, but anyway. So we had 4 of the 200 amp hour batteries connected to this system. We have moved them out to the kitchen because the kitchen only had 100 amp hour battery on there, so we've swapped them out for 200. So we have doubled the battery capacity of the kitchen. Now this is a 48 volt system or a 51.2 because it's lithium, 51.2 volt system, and it is 314 amp hour batteries. So it is basically the equivalent of 4 of these, slightly larger, but 4 of these into one big system. Now the big thing is that these individual 12 volt batteries do not have all have their own battery management systems or don't have battery management systems. Some have BMSs, some don't, but when they do, they have them separately. So you can have problems with them balancing, and you can install a balancer as well, but it becomes another step. Whereas the Humsienk battery has it all built in. So it has 2 BMSs. 2 BMSs are built into the system already, so it balances all the batteries for you and everything else. It's this single cabinet. It has wheels on the bottom for maneuvering it. It does weigh about 135 kilos, and it was quite a lot of effort to get it here. The second one is behind me propped up, and we will have to get it out to the building, which will be fun. It does have a mounting bracket. We've actually got a piece of timber behind that the mounting bracket is attached to because we have this collarbone profile, but at Mum's place she'll have a flat wall, so we'll be able to install this mounting bracket directly to her wall, and then the battery will be mounted to it. It's super simple with battery connection. It has battery cables that sit here. Oh, where am I? Down a bit. positives and negatives. You can put up to 16 of these in series. You can link them. It's got CAN ports for communication. It's got its own safety switches built in to the system as well, and it all comes in one piece. Now, the big thing that we were looking to upgrade this was because our main system is a gel lead acid system, and it is basically the same capacity. It's about a 16 kilowatt capacity, just like this one, except that the battery bank is 3 times the size, and each battery weighs like 60 kilos each, and there is 12 of them. And it is a 24 volt system. This is a 48 volt system. So to have a 48 volt system, it would be like 6 times the size. Lead acid batteries, you can only use the top 30%, 20 to 30% of the batteries, and then you have to leave the rest of it for capacity usage, otherwise the batteries get damaged. With lithium, 50% is your safe zone. You can use them down to 20% depending on the battery, depending on how much, you know, you're concerned about saving the batteries and that sort of thing. But 48 volt systems are also far more efficient. So eventually the plan will be to buy another one of these to put on the main system, but the main system is currently set up as a 24 volt system. So for the moment that's not going to be feasible, but because we have taken a lot of the load, so we've got our water pump and everything on this now, and because we've taken a lot of the load off, it means that the main system is actually coping really well with the usage that it's currently doing. When we have not used a generator in weeks, which was our big thing that we wanted to do, and we have successfully done. So the Humsienk has an app too. Let me see if I can get this in shade so it's easier to see. So this is the app linked to the battery. It tells us that there is currently 2,128 odd watts coming into the battery off the solar. That is above and beyond what is currently being used at the moment, which is about, looks like 450 watts is being used at the moment. So we're getting about 2,500 watts coming in off the panels. It tells you the current voltage, the current temperature, and the capacity, like it's saying that it's at 95% at the moment. We haven't got it down under 70, even with the water pump connected to it, using it overnight and things like that. So in the morning, 70 is the lowest we've gone. So that has been amazing. It has really improved things for us in battery capacity. So I will keep on sharing ongoing about how we're doing the upgrades with this sort of thing. I'll put a link in the description as well to the Humsienk battery that we've got. And as I said, I'm going to do a full video of getting Mum set up the solar from beginning to the end to the buildings and everything else that we're doing. We'll make it all work. Maybe in like multiple smaller videos, and then I'll try and combine it into one. I'll try and do that thing where I keep some of the footage. Isn't always the easiest thing in the world. But yeah, so I wanted to share this because it has made a massive difference to our power usage. The cost of fuel at the moment, we haven't had to run the generator. It's been amazing. So I'm going to leave this video here. And now I need to go and work on the actual planning for the groceries. So I've done the inventory, but I need to sit down and figure it all out. So I'll see you on the next one.